international circuit in Buriram, a warm-up lap which gets underway under threatening grey and black skies. There's been some heavy cloud cover enveloped this 4.55-kilometre Buriram circuit. This 26-lap Grand Prix is, will it stay dry? We had torrential rain here in Buriram 1 year ago. Your race winner on that occasion when he was a factory KTM. It's lights out, we're racing here in Buriram. It's a brilliant launch from the middle of that front row by Luca Marini. He's going to get the drop on Jorge Martin, although Martin comes around the outside through the first corner. Bagnaia is away well too from 6th place. He goes side by
the race here into the battle at the front as Binder is up behind him with Alex Marquez, who is the only rider on the medium rear tyre running 6th.
Going backwards is Bezzecchi. He's had a real
ran wide, but Martin leads it in the first lap. But as we suspected, he's not bolted. He wants to make sure he's got some grip left at the end as Vinales goes way out wide into turn 1.
Was that just a front end scare early on here for Bagnaia, or was he picked up by the hard charge data RNF Aprilia? A lot better than his teammate Miguel Oliveira, who's down in 18th place. He's just been picked off by Morbidelli around the outside. That's not going to work, is it, for Binder? Hard on the brakes. There's Marc Marquez now, hugging the rear tyre at Bagnaia's factory back, trying to pinch that inside line through 5 on Binder. No way through.
And Marc Marquez having a look at Bagnaia too. So Bagnaia, who knows he's not exactly out of contention here, although he's running 6th.
Still can't get through again, can he, on the Gresini Ducati of Marquez.
Bagnaia doesn't need all of this, does he? Looking at all the chaos going up ahead of him and the battling between Marquez and Marini, Bagnaia just wants a nice and steady and nice and comfortable race.
Now through on Aleix Espargaro. This is like a Moto3 battle here, isn't it, early on in Buriram. Bagnaia, though, now has been pushed back down to 7th place. He's going from bad to worse for the world champ.
Bagnaia might have to just change plans here. He was trying to stay patient. I think he's on the outside and he's eased off the track. Bagnaia has to do that. He can't afford to let this group get too far up the road from it.
Yeah, over the line, Bagnaia was 1.4 seconds back of Jorge Martin. At one stage in the sprint yesterday, early top 2, Martin and Binder were nearly a second clear of Alex Marquez. 5
seconds still covers the top 18 riders on the road. So that
isn't it, when you see Plus 093 on your pit board and you're fighting for the MotoGP World Championship, he's desperate just to try and make sure that he doesn't leave the door open. There's no room for Marquez to stick that Repsol Honda back underneath that fact this. So obviously a tech issue for Oliveira.
Either that or potentially he's got some bodywork hanging off his Aprilia, which is going to force him into the pit lane. Oliveira's running in 20th place at the moment and he's off the back of that leading pack, so Oliveira not exactly got
3rd row of the good. He said if you get on those first 3 rows you can be in the game. If you make the start of the aggressive early on, you can go away with the lead group. That's exactly what he's doing right now. Of course, he's probably profiting as well from the relatively slow pace. They've just got to calm down here, get back into their rhythm, because Marquez now has dropped.
Espargaro and Marquez, that they've lost touch with this leading 5. It cost them over a second. Marc Marquez did a 1:32.2, which was over a second slower than the leaders are going, and the fastest rider on track is now the 5th rider in your picture, the world champion Pecco Bagnaia. Back-to-back wins for Johann Zarco. Something's happened to him on this lap. I think he maybe went wide at the end of the back straight because he's lost 6 places through the second sector of this lap. He's now down to 16th.
Bezzecchi has got through on Marc Marquez as well. So Marco Bezzecchi.
Australia, isn't it? He's kept his head. He's realised that it is a long race. We've still got 17 laps to go. The points are handed out at the end, and Pecco Bagnaia is starting to make his way into contention here.
Well, he said yesterday in the sprint that he felt like
in this leading group, although you wouldn't believe it looking at the way Brad Binder is riding, but it's all going to be a case of who's managed the better, because Brad Binder admitted, didn't he, after the Phillip Island race 8 days ago, that he managed a little bit too much in the Australian Grand Prix.
In 2nd place behind your race leader Martin.
Bezzecchi looked like he was up the inside of Aleix Espargaro in the background. We'll try and keep a glimpse of them as they come out of turn 3, and Bezzecchi has indeed made his way through. So we've now got the Muni VR46 Ducatis running 5th and 6th
and 12, still hanging in there. Great job this by Alex Marquez. No obvious signs at the moment of his pace slacking off with that fading medium rear tyre. In fact, he's just in another 1:31.222. So he's still right now. We thought it might be the fading rear grip that was going to hurt Alex Marquez, but it's a front end washout that sees the former Moto2 and Moto3 world champion on the floor here in Mandalika. He tried so hard to save it, but it wasn't coming back.
Marquez will never find out how that medium rear tyre would have managed in the second half of the race, because he didn't make it too far into the second half of the race. So I think what will be interesting now is how quickly Bagnaia zooms up to the back of Martin and Binder. I think
when the lead group fire past your position down in pit lane. Bit of a horrible weekend for Zarco, fresh off his Phillip Island success in 13th place. As we just mentioned, Simon, this clearly is a race of strategy, a race of tactics. What have you made of it so far?
Yeah, it really is. First of all, Alex beaten up, so he had to get on with it. But yeah, awesome job. Those three clearly have the pace. Luca Marini is more difficult to pass.
That's crunch 5 or 6 laps, you feel. It's been as you were in your top two pretty much from the get-go here in Buriram, having to do some seriously hard work to get his way through from what, 7th or 8th at one stage early on this Grand Prix. Is Bagnaia.
The pace continues to hold in those low to mid 131s. Fastest rider of that leading 6 at the moment was Alicia Spargaro, who is running in 6th as he tries to come back at the VR46 Ducatis.
If there's ever a luxury position to
podium potential that we thought he had through practice on Friday, then it's Ralph Fernandez and Joan Mir. Zarco, Morbidelli and Miller complete your point scorers at the moment with only 10 seconds covering the top 15.
This feels like it's as close as Brad Binder. At least they're swapping the same paintwork, I guess you could say, as Marini then has the advantage back as they come through turn 5. This is the battle for 4th and 5th.
Good for the sponsors, but it's not necessarily helping either of their podium prospects at the moment as they slowly
finally through up into 4th place, on board with Binder. So good on the brakes on Friday practice and throughout this Buriram Grand Prix weekend. He's been mustered. He's been so good into turn 1 and turn 3 in the first sector.
And with 7 laps to go at the end of this one, we're getting towards that stage where we're going to find out who has saved their tyre the best.
Big threat coming here, isn't it, for Martin? Brad Binder has been close, but not close enough to...
Longer, and here he comes up the inside of Martin.
Here he goes, and Binder finally picks his moment, although he's going to go in wide, and Martin will squeeze back to the inside line. They rub knees together. That was really close. We now come through turn 10. So that Binder has made it through, but he hasn't been able to make it clearly through. And pull away at the front potentially here. Again, there's a big head shake coming on the KTM over in the blind crest with the 4th gear, turn 4. Twan Grand Prix is number 89, Martin, who will be clawing back 9 points in this championship battle. He brakes as hard and as late as he dares into that tight turn 3. Binder again can't find his way through. It's already been a phenomenal sporting weekend, hasn't it, for South Africa after their Rugby World Cup triumph last night. And Binder on course for back-to-back KTMs here in Buriram. He leads over the line, 4 laps to go here.
By attacking this early,
just an advantage in terms of the edge grip through the faster flying parts of this Buriram circuit. Binder, what, 6 half-dozen bike lengths now clear of Martin. That's where he has been strong in this third split. He's now nearly 3.5 tenths clear.
They did a 31.5 and a 31.6 respectively, so Martin is still very much in this, but you kind of feel, looking at this leading trio, that the most likely move to come next will be for 2nd place rather for the lead.
You can see Binder there, that rear tyre was...
Again, between himself and his chief title rival, it would be down to just 9 points.
What can Bagnaia do here later? What can Binder do as well, as Martin then is back at the front of this Buriram Grand Prix? Here comes Binder. That's around the outside of both Martin and Binder. Astonishing bravery and skill there by the world champion. Last lap underway. Martin, Bagnaia or Binder, who is going to win this Thai Grand Prix?
How did Bagnaia get...
And what about Bagnaia? Has he got something up his sleeve? Is there an ace up his sleeve in that final sector? Treble in Thailand, pole, sprint win and the Grand Prix win in one of the best motogp races we've seen in many a long time. What a Grand Prix here in Buriram. Martin takes it by just over 1/10 of a second. But Binder himself must have known he was wide there coming through turn 4. What a gift for Bagnaia.
Well, it's a gift of 4 points.
Belter, and that is exactly what we have got. Game on in this year's MotoGP World Championship. 13 points as he punches through the screen there. Jorge Martin, he will not care. The mechanics won't care.